OMD there. Good morning. Glad you're with me this morning. It's 8:41 now, 19 before 9. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. It's time. Check in on your money and find out what's happening on Wall Street today through the auspices of our friend Philip Statler from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. Philip, we had a party yesterday on the major indexes, didn't we?
We did, Dave. It was about time, right? It was a nice relief to see green ink. It's been a little while since we've seen that much green ink, which was good to see. I'm fearful, though, that it's not going to continue today.
I had that hunch. Just to summarize for everybody, the Dow was up by 631 points yesterday. That's a full 1.38%. NASDAQ was up by 0.15%, and the NASDAQ was up by 1.38%, almost a full 300 points. And the Russell joined in the party. The Russell 2000 was up the biggest batch of the whole bunch, up 2.29%. All off of President Trump saying, I think we're just going to stop bombing the snot out of Iran for a little while and see whether or not the talks we're having with them are going to be fruitful, to which Iran said, talks? What talks? Which gives us that usual pause as to what on Sam Hill we're really hearing, right?
Exactly. So it is, let's face it, Trump, he's a deal doer, so it's how he frames things is part of the whole process that he goes through when trying to negotiate is how he frames it, and the opponent doesn't always like his frame.
He does have that habit, and it's something that we're almost getting used to, that a lot of President Trump's negotiating goes on in the public square. When it starts becoming a war and peace negotiation that's being done in public, I'm just putting two and two together. I'm going to assume that we've got low-level diplomatic contacts going on, that he's calling talks, the mullahs in Iran are saying are not talks, but there is progress being made in one form or another through some contact level or another. Yeah, I've never, far be it from me to try, second guess what the President of the United States should be doing, but I got to admit a little bit of discomfort at the very least of doing this particular scale of negotiations in public.
Yeah, it is one of those things. It is, it is what it is, and it's one of those things that it takes a little getting used to. Trying to figure out what the president's really doing. And sometimes we just have to sit back, Dave, and wait. And that's hard for all of us to do.
And it's really hard for the stock traders to do because everybody figured, we got a taco trade going on again, figuring Trump's changing his mind again yesterday, and we bought everything that wasn't nailed down on Wall Street. Even gold, let's see. Gold and silver didn't. They had to get their money from somewhere, so they weren't up. But even Bitcoin recovered a little bit yesterday. I mean, they've been kind of in the tank down in the low 70s, but even they recovered a little bit yesterday off of some optimism that, hey, we might be getting close back to normal again. And then at the end of the day, everybody had a little bit of sobering up experience, and we started heading downward again. We're short of information coming out of the government, but you found the details on construction spending. We had a really good month in December. We're slow on getting those numbers out of the government, but I gather January was a bit of a disappointment, huh?
It was. Construction spending actually fell to minus 0.3. The expectation was for it to actually be a slight increase of 0.1%. And so that was a kind of an underperformance on construction spending. I didn't see any rhetoric around that of why or what, but it could be just a cold winter, right? I mean, it could be the Northeast and the Northwest and the Midwest all had a heck of a winter when it comes to snow and ice, and so obviously that could be part of the issue there.
I'm tempted to believe that more than I am the analysts I was reading. One of my tip sheets was saying it was mostly caused by the expectation of the Federal Reserve going to higher rates for longer periods of time. But then again, I look at it, that's a January number before we really firmed up a clear picture last month in February, that we were probably going to be stuck with stable rates for a while. If I remember correctly, in January, there was actually still a little bit of latent optimism that we'd see at least a second quarter rate cut. Probably not going to happen now, but we were talking about the likelihood of a couple of cuts this year in January.
That's right, Dave. We were. And so I don't know that really interest rates would have played into January. I could see it maybe playing into some February, but and March, but not in January as a whole. And like you said, interest rates are going up. The yield on a 30-year now is bumping off 5. It's 4.96%, which means mortgage rates are probably ticking up as we kind of look at what real estate's doing now.
I understood. Other tidbits out this morning, the soothsayers of the financial marketing world are all trying to figure out just how long we're going to have Jay Powell to kick around. The Senate yesterday, or was it the day before? And yesterday, they procedurally voted anyway. Kevin Walsh out of committee in the Senate, not necessarily getting to a vote, but at the very least it's one step closer to confirming him as Jay Powell's successor on the Fed. But, the columnists are all saying, Powell basically said he's going to hang around until there's a confirmed successor, and there's a darn good chance they're not going to have a confirmed successor in May. We may have Jay Powell to kick around for an extended period of time. I don't know whether that's good or bad for Wall Street. They got to be looking at it and saying, who's the boss going to be, right?
Well, yeah, let's face it, it's going to really tick off the president.
Which is going to make social media a real interesting place to hang around. Other tidbits out there, the IRS said the tax refunds this year are up 11% from a year ago at last check. Too bad we're blowing it all on gasoline, right?
Well, it is. And I can see that because I know as I've looked at tax returns this season, that senior deduction of $6,000 per person for folks over 65, that's played a big role because there's a lot of folks that are getting money back that maybe didn't get as much back last year, or actually had to pay a little last year. So I'm seeing that pretty much across the board.
And that's good news for the pocketbook. Like I said, it's really too bad that we're wasting it on gas in our cars, isn't it?
It is. It is. And hey, Dave, I want to, we're tidbits here, and I want to talk about one, Apollo Global Management, right? They're a kind of a, what are they? They're a hedge fund, for lack of a better term, a private credit type thing. And they had to file with the SEC that too many people are requesting redemptions, and they have a cap on what they can redeem every quarter, and that cap's 5%. And they had like 11.2% of the total fund wanted to be redeemed, and they've had to proportion that out, so people only got about 49% of what they wanted. Yeah.
If this were an FDI insured bank, we'd call that a bank failure, wouldn't we?
We would. Of course, they've got that built into their operating agreement. So, hey, that's the most we can liquidate every quarter. And so, that's put the taps on that for a little bit.
Not good news in that end of the financial industry. Reports out, we're really, really at the butt end of reporting season. But one of the big ones in the agriculture industry, I gather, reported Smithfield Foods. They're a big meat producer.
They are, and they had a way better than expected fourth quarter, Dave. They earned 83 cents a share versus 68 cents expected. Revenue ahead as well. They came in and increased their quarterly dividend by 25%, up to 31 cents a share. And so that has them trading up 5.4% this morning.
Ooh, that honestly is a surprise, given the fact that fat cattle in Chicago have been going up in price considerably, plus with the immigration issues down the line. And fact of the matter is, in meatpacking plants, a a lot of the employees come from that population. I'm surprised they're doing well, but it's good news.
It is. It is. Hey, on the other tidbit side, Netgear, the
Mm-hmm.
modem router company, is benefiting greatly from the Federal Communications Commission. Came out and banned all imports of consumer routers that are made abroad, and has termed them as national security risk. And so that's got Netgear trading up. 9 1/3%. They were up as much as 11% earlier this morning.
the danger that the Chinese might know about you looking at your NSFW stuff at work, right?
Exactly. It's
well, I suppose there's a lot of circuitry in there, and there could very well be a security risk on some of those imports. I can see it. Resetting the table 45 minutes before we open. Yesterday, it was a pretty green day on all the major indexes. I'm just betting that momentum isn't lasting. How are we doing 45 minutes early?
No, we've been giving away all morning as you and I talked. I mean, we've gone from down 140 to down 256 on the Dow Jones Industrial 30. S&P 500 is down 0.5%, like $30. NASDAQ 100 is down 50%. 111, 115. Russell 2000 is down 0.75%, about $18. So everything's solid red on that side. Silver and gold still getting beat up. Silver down 0.9% right now. I was looking at silver, Dave, real quick, and look at this 52-week range. Silver's been anywhere from $29 an ounce to, get this, $121 an ounce. Think if you bought it at 121 and it's like 68 now.
And you and I have been making fun of, and you and I have been making fun of Bitcoin for years as being unstable, right?
Yeah, and gold's been kind of the same way. I mean, it's been from the 2000s, up to the 5,000 something. So everything's been really volatile in that section as well. We got crude oil heading up again, Dave, 4.1%, $91.82 a barrel. Listening to CNBC this morning, they think we're going to be lucky if it can settle back around 85 for the rest of the year.
It'd be an improvement over 91, but I really miss 60, don't you?
Me too. Yes, sir. I sure do.
Looking across the Ponzi. Asian Rim followed our yesterday, so everybody was pretty well up in the Asian Rim. Mainland Chinese markets up by well over 1% yesterday. They had a one-day recovery going on. Europe, on the other hand, is trading now, and they're watching our futures and they're saying, oh, shucks, everything is pretty much solidly red in the European community. Not a major sell-off, but about 1/3% down for the average European index halfway through their trading day. Up, down, I need Dramamine, and that's not good if I'm planning a retirement. How do I find you to be able to get a beat on a solid retirement plan for me?
David, give us a call at 863-382-0037. Look, here's the deal. People need to realize there's more to retirement planning than just managing your investments. You got to plan where your income's going to come from. You got to plan on how you're going to pay the taxes that are involved with all those things. That's what happens at Statler Financial when we sit down and plan together what your retirement is going to look like. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on News Talk 730 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And newstalk730am.com. Looking forward to tomorrow morning for some good news, we hope. Fair enough?
Fair enough, buddy. Have a great day.
You too. I'll see you then. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Philip Statler.
Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us today. It is the last full week of the quarter. Not much in the way of earnings, but there's going to be economic stuff coming out. There's going to be volatility in the market. Join us every day to find out what's happening, where you should be looking at, and things like that. Don't forget, we're here to answer your questions. Give us a call, 863-382-0037. With that, join me tomorrow. Bye now.